So you know how there's like a million things that you can do in Lightroom, but when you actually get into it and start editing photos, you kind of do the same thing over and over and over again. And I found that there's like 5 things that I do all the time. So that's what I'm gonna show you. The 5 things that I find most common in Lightroom. Will Simpson here, and welcome back to Exploring Photography. It's been a minute, but today I wanted to show you my 5 most common tips that I use in Lightroom that I find pretty helpful. And a few of them you might not actually know about, especially the last one. The last one, I bet you don't know. But let's get into Lightroom and get started. So the first trick has to do with the new masking system in Lightroom. And if you're unfamiliar with it, I did a whole video on it and I will link it in the description of this video, or I'll link it at the end of this video if I remember to. But the first one has to do with the command button. Now I'm using a Mac, so I'm not sure, it might just be command on Windows as well. But if you press and hold the command button in Lightroom, you will notice that you get this little square with a magnifying glass that allows you to zoom in. So let's go ahead and draw a box over these glasses and zoom in. Now this is fun fact about this photo. This is the photo that I did for an influencer on Instagram, and it was for VisionWorks, which I'm super pumped about. Love this photo, it turned out really good. Anyways, let's zoom in on this. And so we want to mask these glasses. So let's go up here into the masking tool and click brush. And we're gonna make sure that auto mask is selected. We're gonna make the brush a little small. Then we're just gonna paint over the glasses here and just make sure that we get it on the frames. And we don't need to necessarily be like perfect here. This can just be a rough mask because we're gonna go back and really tweak it. Then I'm gonna press and hold Option on my keyboard. That'll give me a minus sign, and we're just gonna erase this stuff on the outside. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So once we have that masked, now we essentially have the part of, let's go ahead and paint this, the part of the glasses that we want to enhance. So this is where this trick comes in handy. So let's zoom out here. If, for say, I wanted to darken everything around my subject, I select the subject, which is generally easier to do than selecting everything else. Go over here and click invert. This simply selects everything but what I had selected. Now I can just simply darken this down and boom, the glasses are enhanced. Now for this one, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep the glasses selected and darken them down. That way it brings them out, makes them pop off of this bright and airy background. So now here's the before with the mask and after the mask. It just makes the image pop so much better. So masking the subject and then either using the invert or non-inverted mask allows you to really make your subject pop in the image. Now for number 2 is more of a vignette kind of style. Let's say that you want to vignette the image. So we come down here to vignette and we just add a vignette. You'll notice that it's very dark, and it really, I mean, if you pull it all the way in, it creates almost a perfect oval. So it's very harsh, but there is another trick to do it. Let's go ahead and go into the lens correction tab right here. And then usually you'll be in profile. Let's go to manual. Now here you'll notice there's another vignette section. If we vignette this, right, see how much lighter it is? It's much more natural. It's using the lens distortion to add that vignette to it. So this here, let's say we just vignette it a little. So there is a -29 on that vignette. If we then do -29 on this vignette, it's much harsher. That works, but if you want more of a subtle vignette, use the vignette in the lens correction. And you can go lighter, which is like for light and airy. It makes a really nice, soft, blown out look in the edges, or you can go darker. And it just adds a very subtle vignette, which makes it a little bit more natural. The next tip is actually a way to really set your dynamic range of your image. But before we get into that, if you want some free presets, I'm gonna put a link in the description for you. You click the link, fill out the information, and then an email will be sent to you, confirm it, and it'll send you the free presets. If that link isn't working, I will link my website below that link because I'm having troubles with that link really quick. But if it isn't working, I'll link to my website, which will take you right to some places where you can download some cool free stuff. Anyways, the next one is setting your whites and black points perfectly. Let's take this image here And let's press and hold the Alt or Option key. Option on a Mac, Alt, I believe, on a PC. Press and hold it, and then click the white slider, and then drag it up until you start to see white on the image. There's your white point. Do the same thing with the black slider. Click and hold Option, click the black slider, and slide it until you start to see blacks like that. And this is all, at this point, it's completely up to you on a personal preference. So at that point, it looks really good. Here is the before, and then here is the after. So it just really enhances the image, and it's the quickest way to set perfect dynamic range for all of your images using the white and black sliders. Just as a note, if you're doing this technique, you're pressing and holding Option and you're adjusting the black slider and you're never finding true black, make sure your tone curve isn't lifted on the true blacks, because if this is lifted past the end point there, your blacks will never reach true black because you've lifted them. So there never will be true blacks, and it'll make your image look like crap. So if you're having that issue, that's probably why. Just go ahead and reset this down to 0, and then you can find black. See, there you go. And there you go. Now let's go on to the next tip. All right, the final tip, and the one you probably don't know, which actually kind of shocks me of how good it is and how well it works. It kind of blew my mind when I first learned it, but it's how to reduce noise by adding noise. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this image. We're going to zoom in. So let's use our new trick, the Command button, and zoom in. And you'll notice that the face is a little bit noisy. So then we're going to click our mask tool. We're going to create a new mask and select brush. We're then going to set our noise on this brush to 50. We're going to set our texture to -20 and our clarity to 10. Then we're going to 10, yay. Then we're going to zoom in a little bit more by pressing Command and +sign, and then you see is the skin here. We're just going to paint over, and you'll notice that the noise just completely disappears. Isn't that incredible? I don't know why this works, but oh my gosh, it's so freaking good. We'll do it on her face here, and it just removes all of that noise, and it is simple. Everything's still in focus and crisp. Avoid the eyes. Let's just go ahead and do this here. But this is just incredible. I couldn't believe this. We use the space, press and hold the space to move while we're in the brush tool. Just remove all that noise, and here is the before, and here is the after. I mean, that is freaking amazing, and it works for so many different things. But keep it light, because you don't want to overdo it. Just remove the noise that needs the noise removing areas. But other than that, those are my 5 tips that I pretty much use in every single image. So let me know which one your favorite one is down in the comments, because I like them all. Personally, that noise one is amazing. Go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're not, because I am on the road to 10,000, and your subscription and your support means everything. So I will see you guys next week. Good to see you again.